Imagine this, a father's worst nightmare unfolding before his eyes. A young boy with Down syndrome, innocent and full of life, becomes the target of humiliation by police officers who should have protected him. What starts as a heartbreaking moment of injustice quickly spirals into a story of resilience, courage, and an unwavering fight for change. The father, devastated yet determined, refuses to let this injustice go unanswered. As he takes on the system, exposing the prejudice and demanding accountability, a movement begins to form, one that will leave everyone involved questioning their own actions. But what exactly did the father do to challenge the powerful system, and did it lead to justice for his son? This story is a testament to how one person's love and determination can spark a ripple effect of change. Stick around because this is a story you don't want to miss. It all started on what seemed like an ordinary day. The boy, who had a bright smile and an innocence that lit up every room, was playing in the park near his home. His father, always protective, had taught him to see the world as a safe and kind place. But that day, everything changed. A misunderstanding led to police officers confronting the boy, their words harsh and their actions intimidating. They saw his differences, but instead of showing compassion, they treated him as a problem. The father arrived just in time to witness the unthinkable. His son, confused and scared, was surrounded by authority figures who were supposed to serve and protect. Instead, they were doing the opposite. The father's heart broke, but anger and resolve quickly followed. He knew he couldn't let this stand. What he did next would not only challenge the system, but shake an entire community. The father couldn't shake the image of his son standing there, frightened and unsure of what he had done wrong. He tried to reason with the officers, but they dismissed his concerns, brushing him off as if the incident didn't matter. That night, as his son quietly asked why they were treated that way, the father made a silent promise. This would not be ignored. He began digging deeper, learning more about the officers involved and uncovering a troubling pattern of behavior within the department. Meanwhile, whispers about the incident started spreading through the community. Some stood by the father, outraged at the treatment of an innocent boy with Down syndrome. Others were hesitant, unwilling to believe the police could be so harsh. Determined to be heard, the father approached local officials, but his complaints were met with indifference. That's when he realized this fight was bigger than he'd imagined. The father's frustration grew as every door he knocked on seemed to close in his face. But giving up was not an option. Late nights turned into early mornings as he pored over policies, legal documents, and community reports, determined to find a way to hold the system accountable. His persistence caught the attention of a local journalist, someone who had spent years uncovering injustices that often went unnoticed. Together, they began piecing together a story that couldn't be ignored. At the same time, the father's son, despite his limited understanding of what had happened, started showing signs of fear whenever they left the house. The once cheerful boy now hesitated to go to the park or even look at a police car. The father knew this wasn't just about justice anymore. It was about reclaiming his son's sense of safety and trust. As the father's story gained traction, the police department responded defensively, denying any wrongdoing and attempting to discredit him. But the father wasn't alone anymore. The community's voice grew louder, rallies were organized, and more families came forward, sharing their own stories of mistreatment. Tensions reached a breaking point when the father announced he had uncovered something explosive, something that could finally expose the truth. All eyes were on him as he prepared to reveal what he had found. Just when it seemed like the father was gaining ground, an unexpected twist threw everything into chaos. The police department, feeling the pressure of public scrutiny, released a statement claiming the boy's behavior had been misinterpreted and justified their actions as standard protocol. But buried in their response was a subtle insinuation that the father had exaggerated the incident for attention. The narrative quickly shifted, and the family found themselves under attack from skeptics who questioned their motives. It was a devastating blow, but instead of backing down, the father doubled his efforts. He decided to go public with the evidence he had uncovered. internal emails, video footage, and testimonies from other families who had endured similar experiences. What he revealed painted a much darker picture than anyone expected, a culture of negligence and bias that extended far beyond his son's case. As the community rallied behind him, something else emerged. An anonymous tip landed in his inbox, hinting at a cover-up within the department. The tip included cryptic details about erased reports and altered records. Suddenly, the father realized the fight wasn't just about his son anymore. It was about dismantling a system built to protect itself at all costs. The stakes had never been higher, and with every move he made, he knew he was inching closer to either justice or something far more dangerous. The father's relentless pursuit of the truth led him to confront the police department head-on. Armed with undeniable evidence, he held a press conference, presenting the erased reports and altered records that the anonymous tip had revealed. The crowd was silent as he showed the footage of his son's encounter, a heart-wrenching moment that no one could dismiss. The story spread like wildfire, and the pressure became too much for the department to ignore. Under mounting scrutiny, the police chief announced an internal investigation, but the father knew this wasn't enough. He filed a formal lawsuit demanding accountability and systemic change. As the legal battle unfolded, more officers stepped forward, exposing the deep-rooted culture of discrimination and cover-ups within the force. Just when it seemed justice was finally within reach, the unexpected twist came. One of the officers who had initially humiliated the boy turned out to be the whistleblower behind the anonymous tip. Struggling with guilt, they had risked everything to ensure the truth came out. Their testimony was the final blow that dismantled the department's defense. In the end, reforms were implemented, apologies were issued, and the father's fight inspired a nationwide conversation about inclusivity and justice. But as he held his son's hand, he knew this victory was just the beginning. Change had started. The journey to rebuild trust and ensure safety for every child was far from over. As the dust settled, the father finally felt a sense of relief, knowing his son's story had made an impact. The reforms within the police department were a step forward, and the community's support showed just how powerful unity could be in the face of injustice. The boy, slowly regaining his confidence, began smiling again, his father's unwavering love and strength reminding him that he was safe and valued. The officer who had come forward left the force but continued working to advocate for change, proof that even in a flawed system, there were people willing to do the right thing. The father, though exhausted from the battle, found purpose in helping other families navigate similar struggles, ensuring their voices wouldn't go unheard. This story wasn't just about one family or one moment. It was a reminder that standing up for what's right, even when it feels impossible, can change everything.